One of the biggest things people struggle with is working with tangents. Whoop. Is working with the tangents and like to find the tangent of the square root of 3. Is that 30 degrees? Is that 60 degrees? Which is which? Okay? So, what you need to do is get in your mind which one is square root of 3 and which one is square root of 3 over 3. Because one of them will be this and one of them will be this. You just got to figure out which one is which. Okay, so if we look at the tangent of 30 degrees, what is tangent? It is what over what? Opposite over adjacent, which is in terms of y and x on the unit circle, it's y over x. Okay? Y over x. At 30 degrees, what's y? 1/2. And x? Okay. So notice how both of these have the same denominator. Both of these have a 2 in the denominator. So to get rid of the complex fraction, I multiply by the denominator of the denominator, which I get 1 over square root of 3. Now, I can't leave the square root of 3 in the denominator, so I multiply top and bottom by square root of 3. And I get square root of 3 over 3. So I know 30 degrees is square root of 3 over 3. If I look at the tangent of 60 degrees, y over x at 60 degrees is square root of 3 over 2 over 1/2. Again, if I multiply by 2, 2 times 1/2, the whole denominator disappears because it's 1. So that just gives me square root of 3. So then I know that tangent, where is it square root of 3? Well, that is at 60 degrees. Okay? Where's cosine 1/2 at? Well, that's at 60 degrees. Where's the tangent of 1 at? Now I got to think a little bit. So, tangent is y over x. And you want y over x to equal 1. So, for something to equal 1, the top and the bottom have to be the exact same thing. Where is the x and the y the exact same thing on your unit circle? 45 degrees. Calculator ones, I assume that you can do these calculator ones without any issues. So then we will have a section where we're finding all 6 trig functions as simplified fractions. Okay? But notice, they only give me 2 sides of the right triangle. How do I find the third side of my right triangle? Pythagorean theorem. C squared equals 9 plus 25. C squared equals 34. So C equals the square root of 34. Okay? So, the sine of alpha is opposite over hypotenuse. 3 over square root of 34. Can't leave square root of 34 on the bottom. So it's 3 square root of 34 over 34. Cosine, adjacent over hypotenuse. Can't leave square root of 34 on the bottom. Tangent, opposite over adjacent. Secant is the reciprocal of sine or cosine? Cosine. So you take the original one, not the flipped over one. Take the original one and flip it over. Or not the rationalized one, I should say. So it's the square root of 34 over 5. Cosecant is the square root of 34 over 3. And cotangent is 5/3. Okay? So you'll be doing some of that again. Okay, this one's just a little bit different. If this is 17 and this is 8, we got to find this side. How do we find the other leg? 17 squared equals a squared plus 8 squared. So 289 equals a squared plus 64. Subtract 64 from each side. 225 equals a squared. Take the square root. A equals 15. The nice thing is they're all whole numbers. It makes nice fractions. You don't have to work with radicals. Sine of alpha is what over what? Opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine of alpha? Adjacent over hypotenuse. Tangent of alpha? Opposite over adjacent. Now they talk about beta. Alpha was down here, beta's up here. So when you do beta, now its opposite is 8/17. Its adjacent is 15, so it's 15 over 17. And its tangent is 8/15. Notice how the cosine of alpha is the same as the sine of beta, and the cosine of beta is the same as the sine of alpha. Because if you're working from different corners, you're still working with the same sides that are involved. Okay? All right. If A is 3 and B is 11, how do we find C? Well, I'd use the Pythagorean theorem. So it's 9 plus 121 or 130. So you take the square root of 130. What's the square root of 130 to the nearest tenth? 11 point what? 4. And then, to find the measure of angle A, do you want to use sine, cosine, or tangent for this? The reason why we want to use tangent for this is these are not rounded answers. This is a rounded answer which might throw your angle off. So you want to use tangent. So you use the tangent of angle alpha equals 3 opposite over 11, the adjacent. We move the tangent to the other side. Alpha equals the inverse tangent of 3/11. What's the inverse tangent of 3/11? 15.3. So what's left for angle B? How many degrees are in a triangle? No. 180. And if you take off the 90 for the right angle, you're left with 90. So if you take 90 minus 15.3, you're left with 74.7. Okay? So, angle of depression. Here's a lighthouse. Somebody's looking down upon a boat. Okay? The angle depression down from horizontal is 42.6885. We want to know how far the boat is from the lighthouse. So if the angle depression right here is 42.6885, what's the angle of elevation from the boat up to the top of the lighthouse? Will be the exact same thing, 42.6885, because these are parallel lines, and these are alternate interior angles from geometry. So the angle of elevation and the angle of depression is always the same. We know the lighthouse is 73 feet high. So then we say the tangent of our angle, 42.6885, equals the opposite side of the triangle over the adjacent side of our triangle. Uh-oh, we've got a problem here. Our problem is our variable is where? In the denominator. Can't solve for a variable in the denominator, so we multiply top and bottom by x. So x tangent of 42.6885 equals 73, and then divide by the tangent of 42.6885. And then you get how far the boat is away, which is, I would say about 68. No, about 77, 78. I don't know. What is it? 73 divided